Entrevistas que lo conectan al mundo. Así amaneció.
Hay un nuevo estudio que habla sobre el tiempo que la enfermedad duró, cuán grave estuvo el paciente con la afectación de los pulmones, de qué afecta y cuánto tiempo afecta y cuáles son los órganos más afectados. Para ello hemos llamado a Londres a la doctora Betty Raman. Ella es doctora de la Universidad de Oxford y una de las investigadoras principales de este estudio. Dr. Raman, good morning and thanks for being with us here in Ecuador in Así Amaneció in Radio City.
Good morning. Thank you for this opportunity to share some of our work. It's a privilege.
Le voy a preguntar primero que todo, ¿qué encontró este nuevo estudio? Doctor, first of all, what does the study show you as for the long COVID problems?
Yeah, so this is the first follow-up MRI study of people who were admitted to hospital with COVID-19, looking at the effects of severe infections on the health of multiple organs like the brain, lungs, heart, and kidneys. It's a very comprehensive study looking at close to 300 individuals. 259 were patients and 52 were controls who never previously had COVID-19. And the main finding from the study was that people who were previously hospitalized with COVID-19 are at a threefold increased risk of multi-organ changes or abnormalities on MRI. Of the organs that we studied, the lungs had the biggest hit. So the biggest impact was seen in the lungs, with people being at a 14 times higher risk of having lung changes. But the brain and the kidneys were also affected in people, and you could see those damage at about 5 months from infection. So there does appear to be some long-lasting effects of this infection on organs beyond just the lung.
Bueno, nos dice que debe ser uno de los estudios más importantes de la historia que se ha hecho, de los primeros estudios que se ha hecho sobre la resonancia magnética. Hubo más de 300 pacientes, de los cuales 259 estuvieron internados por el problema de COVID y 50 no estuvieron internados, pero que tuvieron problemas de COVID. Que las personas que se revisaron, los pulmones fueron lo más grave dentro de todo, lo que más sufrían, pero que el cerebro y los riñones también sufrían, y que a más tiempo estuvieron internados y la enfermedad iba más allá, más tenían problemas en el cuerpo. Le voy a preguntar ahora qué significa eso para la medicina, estos resultados sobre el COVID-19 y el long COVID. Doctor, what does this study and these results means for the everyday long COVID patients?
So this study did not specifically look at patients who came with long COVID, but who were admitted to hospital with COVID-19 and are being seen at 5 months down the track. Mm-hmm. We know that 70% of these people have persistent symptoms, or what we now know as long COVID. So quite a large proportion have long COVID. And we know that people who have more severe symptoms are more likely to have multi-organ changes on MRI.
Bueno, nos dice que no era un estudio sobre el long COVID, era un estudio sobre pacientes que habían estado más de 5 meses internados con problemas de COVID, que el 17% de estos pacientes, que para ellas es bastante, este 17% de pacientes han tenido long COVID o han tenido constantes molestias después del COVID, y que básicamente lo que va a llevar a esto es seguir haciendo más estudios Córdova, dígame.
Son las 8 de la mañana, 14 minutos. Le quiero agradecer a la invitada por aceptar nuestra invitación. Mi pregunta va relacionada a cómo salir del long COVID, perdón. Es decir, ¿puedo usar la medicina tradicional o puedo aplicar otro tipo de medicina como mejorar mi sistema de vida, mejorar mi sistema de alimentación, ejercitarme, llevar una vida más relajada para poder lograr el objetivo final de salir del long COVID?
My co-host is asking you if this is not about the study, but the long COVID relation with that you might find out. He's asking you if you have any idea if changing your way of life, if eating better, exercising might help those results that you got in the study?
Mm-hmm. So that's a good question. So long COVID is a complex disease or a syndrome that might have many causes, and some symptoms can get better with exercise and rehabilitation, or even eating well. So some of the changes that we're seeing can get better with leading a healthy life. But then that may not help everyone with long COVID. And part of this research is to find out how to detect the causes so we can target people with specific treatments and improve all the different groups of long COVID that people are experiencing.
Bueno, nos dice que sí, que lo que puede hacer la gente es cambiar su estilo de vida, comer mejor, estar mejor, ejercitarse, pero eso tal vez no le funcione a todos. Y es parte de estos estudios llegar a poder obtener información para saber y hacerlo más focalizado la medicina y en general los tratamientos para cada uno de los pacientes. Priscila.
Sí, una de las dudas que surgen en esta nueva ola de contagios, porque existe una nueva ola de contagios, ¿qué pasa con las personas los pacientes que tuvieron un long COVID y que vuelven o volverían a enfermarse en esta nueva ola?
Is there any part of your research or your knowledge that talks about what happened with the patients who have long COVID or were in intensive care for more than 5 months? What happened to them if they caught again COVID?
Yeah, that's a really great question. It's an area that we're actively researching because it is an important. It's important to know whether they're at risk of severe infection again, or whether their immune response to the first infection can protect them from severe infection in the future. So it's an area of active investigation. But what I will say is we identified some risk factors for people with changes on MRI scan months after the infection. And one of them was severity of infection. So if you went to ICU or you had very severe infection, you're more likely to have changes in your organs even months down the track. The age of the person seems to be a risk factor, and the presence of comorbidities, so diabetes, heart problems, all these increase your risk of other organ changes. So the message from me is that if you belong to this high risk group, what we call the vulnerable group, do stay up to date with your vaccination, because we know that the vaccination reduces severity of the acute disease. And so for all those people out there who are over the age of 60, who are thinking, should I have a vaccination? Please do, because it protects you from the risk of going into hospital and having long-term changes.
Bueno, vacunarse, vacunarse, vacunarse y vacunarse. El consejo que siempre recibimos aquí, pero ella dice que específicamente ellos se dieron cuenta que las personas que tenían más problemas eran las personas vulnerables, que tenían diabetes, problemas del corazón. Córdoba tiene que vacunarse. Hoy día nos vamos a vacunar, ¿ya? Hoy día. Problemas del corazón, problemas de sobrepeso como yo, etcétera. Esas son las personas más vulnerables. Le voy a hacer la última pregunta a la doctora Cortita sobre el pulmón y los fumadores. Doctor, you mentioned the lungs were the biggest issue in your research. Smokers are a big concern too?
So we didn't specifically have many smokers in our cohort, but certainly smoking can put you at risk of lung disease, which increases your chances of ending in hospital and needing ventilation and severe infections. So, definitely I would still recommend, if people are thinking of cutting smoking or stopping smoking, it's best not to be smoking, especially with new waves of the virus making the round in the world.
Curiosamente no tuvieron muchos fumadores, pero ella dice que obviamente lo primero que va a recomendar ella es que la gente no fume, porque eso la puede llevar a centros especializados como el de ella, a internarse por más el vapor, sí, y que no ayuda mucho con la defensa del COVID. Le voy a agradecer a la doctora. Doctor, thank you very much for being with us today. It's been an enlightenment, your research, and I hope we talk to you again in new research that you may follow after this one.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for this invitation.
Bueno, era una doctora de Oxford, no estamos hablando de cualquier cosa. Estamos hablando con una doctora de Oxford que tuvo una nueva investigación con resonancias magnéticas a pacientes que tuvieron enfermedades muy graves, pacientes de COVID que entraron con la enfermedad muy desarrollada y que estuvieron en cuidados intensivos. Los pulmones los más afectados, de ahí viene el cerebro y los riñones.